But don't take out a loan just for the sake of the college experience, because taking out a loan for the college experience, as I've said in another video, I'm going to say here, is just as bad a decision as taking out a loan to go to Disney World. I've always advised going against taking out loans for college unless you have a game plan for paying it back immediately. And the events of today, where the pause on involuntary collections of the debt is over. And that's why I'm going to read and react to this article. Most Gen Z graduates now think college was a waste of money, by Martha McHardy for Newsweek. Yeah, it's not just the money, it's also the time. I mean, if you ended up doing what you went to school for and you don't hate it, cool. Not everyone has that fortune. Me, I think I mentioned I speed ran my TV concentration because I didn't build up the experience over time, because I kind of loafed around and was like, I want to do films, but I don't want to move to Los Angeles or really produce anything on a more serious level. I just want to use the same stuff that I used in high school video production instead of trying to learn something new. Which I've done better on that personally here because I have this microphone here. And of course, I've paid for a nicer iPhone camera so I can get better picture quality. But I've realized that I'd rather do things on my terms. Like the live stream I did where I stayed up late at night to pre-order the Switch 2 and show you do it until I got so fed up I decided to just cut the feed and update you in a post after the fact. But anyway, enough about that. Let's see what Martha McHardy has to say. The average cost of a bachelor's degree in the United States has doubled in the last 2 decades to over $38,000. That's like a year's salary. Why it matters. Oh, most Gen Z graduates now think college was a waste of money, according to a new poll. Why it matters. The sharp rise in Gen Z graduates who believe their college education was a waste of money signals a growing disillusionment with the traditional higher education model. As tuition costs continue to soar and student debt reaches historic highs, many young adults are questioning whether a degree offers the financial and professional security it once promised. This shift in perception could have long term consequences for universities, the labor market, and broader economic mobility, especially as alternative pathways like trade schools, online certifications, and direct to career programs gain popularity. Direct to career programs are what we need more of. Like I said, we need to combine the actual work with the education. Or you got to be a part time student. If you want to get a degree in something like underwater basket weaving, I don't see why you should be stopped from doing that. I mean, if you really want to do that, then be a part time student and be a full time, whatever job you go into, blue collar or otherwise. Or make sure that, sorry, I just had to adjust that lamp. Make sure that whatever you go into, or have it be related to your job in some capacity. I mean, if you can get them to pay for a degree, I don't see the problem with that. As long as you don't have to pay it back. That being said, though, in regards to these loans, people took them out. They knew what they were signing up for. Or if they didn't, it was just a bad choice. And now, choice meets consequence. Like I said, if I had to take out loans, I would have been like, oh, heck no, I'm not going to college. Back to the article. That is compared with 41% of millennials and just 20% of baby boomers. Overall, more than a third of all graduates now say their degree was a waste of money, according to the poll, which had a margin error of plus or minus 4.1 percentage points. It comes as the average cost of a bachelor's degree in the US has doubled in the last 2 decades to over $38,000. And for some subjects like psychology, philosophy, or education, it can take over 20 years in the workforce for the degree to pay for itself, according to the Education Data Initiative. Okay, let's set a standard for what types of degrees to take out loans for and why, and then how long it should take to pay back. So you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer of some kind that does require that degree. Okay, before you take any loans out, make a plan. Write out how much money you need to start earning, what you can realistically get, and then follow the class plan you make. Make a class plan over the next 4 years. Plan out which classes you're going to take which semester with backups if you can't get into a particular one that one because all the spots filled up because they prioritize seniors or juniors first because they need to get into that particular class to graduate on time. Try to graduate early if you can. My cousin did it. So did my sister. My sister was a semester early. My cousin was a full year early, which he was originally on track to graduate in 2020. He graduated in 2019. I think based on what happened, because at least for those who care about walking commencement or not, obviously that proved to be a good idea in the long run. But that's just me. I mean, what do I know? Meanwhile, the cost of tuition and fees across all universities in the United States over the past 2 decades have jumped between 32% and 45% over the past 2 decades, according to US News, while total student loan debt has ballooned to nearly $2 trillion. And the poll showed that for many graduates, student debt lingers long after their diploma is in their hands. More than half, 52%, of respondents said they left school with education loans to pay off, with millennials particularly affected. 58% reported carrying debt into their careers. And those with student debt, 41%, were more likely to say their degree was a waste of money compared to those without debt, 31%. Yeah, I wouldn't say that my degree was a complete waste because I had a partial scholarship and a college fund. I mean, the only reason that I don't regret going there is because I made some friends there. And I'm not just saying that because if they're watching, hi, they might get offended. I really do mean it. I'm glad I got to know them. I got something out of it. But in terms of the education itself, the problem is really that I didn't apply myself. So if you don't feel like you're actually going to apply yourself, as abnormal psychology teacher said about heroin, and as I say about alcohol and anything that impairs your brain functionality, stay the hell away from it. Just do some W-2 work until you figure something out. But don't take out a loan just for the sake of the college experience, because taking out a loan for the college experience, as I've said in another video, I'm going to say here, is just as bad a decision as taking out a loan to go to Disney World. Again, choose the field, follow through on it, commit to it, and don't take out loans unless you absolutely have to. And if you do take out loans, start paying them back right away as much as possible. That's what I would do if I had something I really wanted to do that I had to go to college for. I would start digging myself out of debt while still in school. I'm not kidding. That's actually what I would do. Social life be damned. But the impact of student debt goes beyond the financial strain. Nearly 4 in 10, 38%, said their student debt hurt their professional growth more than their degree helped it. Well, that's because you weren't putting in any work. So either entry-level jobs have to have part-time openings that students can do where they can earn money doing the thing while putting in their reps, as my college TV station teacher said to do. You should either do that. That's how it should work this way. If they're going to ask for both experience and education, that assuming you don't do any formal work while you're in college, they either need to stop asking for unrealistic education and work experience, or said work experience needs to be part of the education so that you can claim both, and then it'll actually be a realistic standard. Either what they're doing right now needs to change, or companies need to accept realistic expectations and actually train their employees. A growing number of Gen Z graduates are questioning whether college was even necessary. 68% believe they could perform their jobs without a degree, compared to just 49% of baby boomers. A recent economic analysis shows that employers increasingly view high school and college graduates as more interchangeable, seeing less distinction between their skills than in the past. Yet, despite this shift, 67% of respondents said they would be bothered to learn that a colleague landed a similar role without a degree. The poll also showed that the spread of artificial intelligence into all parts of education and the workplace has made college graduates question their degree even more, with 30% reporting they feel AI has made their degree irrelevant, with the number jumping to 45% for Gen Z. But Kyle M.K., A career trend expert at Indeed told Fortune, AI is more of an amplifier than a pink slip. AI won't invalidate a solid education, but it will reward those who keep upgrading their toolkit. That is actually what I say about AI and why you shouldn't be afraid to use it in your side hustle or anything like that. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I use ChatGPT to come up with title and thumbnail ideas. No, really, I do. I'm just going to straight up admit it. I felt like I was lying to you by omission, but I have to come out as an AI user because it is a very useful tool for suggesting topics or breaking down what's working and what could be better. Ultimately, here's the thing, it really is a tool. I mean, think about it. Producing this video. You could say I'm cheating by using this microphone. You could say that I'm cheating by using a camera to instead of just going out there and showing my face in person and reading and reacting to these videos live in person. No, this is a tool. My phone, my microphone, my MacBook, OBS, all of it is tools in the toolkit. Obviously, without these tools, I would not be able to make any of this content. But I mean, for other things, I could still look at other video titles and see what I can do to replicate them. I can watch other videos and be like, what can I do to what can I take from this to apply here? Like this setup here. Oh wait, the mouse isn't showing OBS itself, but you get the idea. You see the like, share, and subscribe above me. You see the name of the channel over there. Yep. Yeah. You see the article up here that is sometimes replaced with ChatGPT or Safari if I want to show you something else. I came up with that on my own because I've watched other videos and I decided that this works best for me because I have the lake photo that I took that I've been using for the, what is it? For the channel header. And I thought I'd give it a little more visual flair. But yeah, let it go to show at the end of the day. AI is a tool in the toolbox. Ultimately, it comes down to what the person decides to use. Now, for full-fledged essays or something like that, it's a little different. But for small things like titles, thumbnail text, and such, it's just a tool. That's all it is. All right, back to the article. According to the Social Science Research Council, an estimated 4.3 million young people are now deemed NEETs, meaning not in education, employment, or training. What if they're working a side hustle or something? Are they still a NEET? You let me know in the comments down below. Like Matt Walsh would ask, what is a NEET? You know what? I should start doing parodies of that where I take internet slang like chud, neat, what else? Incel. I should do a separate type of documentary style video for each one. Just go out to some public space in Boston where I can ask people their consent for the audio for the sake of following the laws of a two-party consent state when it comes to audio recording. Just a big open public space like Castle Island. Just go up to people and ask, what is a neat? What is a chud? What is an incel? Okay, time to get back to the article for real this time. What people are saying. Kyle MK, a career trend expert indeed, told Fortune, these realities are nudging universities and employers to shift focus from pedigree to practical skill. In fact, 52% of US job postings on Indeed don't list any formal education requirement. Yeah, that was the thing about the TV concentration compared to some of the other concentrations at my college and majors. It was a lot more hands on. Like, there was more actually working in the studio to get in your reps. That is something I will give them credit for, and something I should have been doing more of throughout my college career. But no, I had to loaf around, I had to take up space, I had to have the idea of, oh, I can do the TV concentration. This is just like what I did at the very start of high school that I didn't do anything else from up until that point. So it was about 7 years between the there's about a 7 year gap for the studio setup, but I digress. Christine Cruz Vergara, Chief Education Strategy Officer at Handshake, told Fortune, it's short sighted to focus only on immediate employment, as that makes the assumption that the value of higher education is only to get your first job, when in reality, higher education contributes to career advancement opportunities, exposure to a variety of fields, aids in self discovery, and develops management and leadership skills. Um, a little bit, yeah, but how are you going to apply any of that when you're 22 years old looking for your first true adult job? Yeah, I'm beginning to think the problem might be that that's focused too much on the long term. It should really be more about getting into that first job where you can learn all that other stuff. You know what? Maybe cut it down to just a 2 year degree focused entirely on that field of study and nothing else. I'll admit, I got a little something out of classes outside of my major. Abnormal psychology. I keep on bringing up how awesome that teacher was and his stay the hell away from it monologue. I always bring that up because I learned something very useful about it. I also learned very important lesson about how mental illnesses could generally be boiled down to something that impairs your ability to function. I'm sure there's more to it that I don't remember from class, but that's my general takeaway. That's my rule of thumb for it. So, for example, if anxiety is keeping you from doing something you want to do or something you need to do, that is impairing your ability to function. That's why it is considered a mental illness. I also learned that half of all people actually experience some form of mental illness or another. And I also learned that, unfortunately, the mentally ill are more likely to be victims of violence instead of the perpetrators. And that, generally, as a voting as a group of people, they don't usually go out and vote. Hey, I'm just repeating what my teacher told me. Maybe some of this has changed in the 7 years since I took that class. You let me know in the comments down below if I'm talking out of my ass or not. All right, what happens next? The number of college-educated Americans expected to shrink in the coming years because of a combination of factors, including a projected decline in the number of high school graduates and changing attitudes toward higher education, according to research by ICF USA. Probably a result of the declining birth rate and people like me who go through college don't end up using our degree for anything and then start to wonder if we could have put the time to better use through in terms of the practical academic values. I mean, in terms of the practical academic applications. And that's where the article ends. Honestly, this is exactly why, going back to the start of the video, how today's unpausing of the student loan debt collection really goes to show that, one, you can't count on any one administration to maintain a level of consistency. Two, the crisis for which that was paused in the first place is long behind us. I would not be surprised if there were graduates of 2020 and up to last year who stopped paying it paying it back. Now that I think about it, wow, it's been long enough that someone could have started college in the heat of the pandemic in 2020 and graduated last year. Could have started in 2021 and it's graduating this upcoming May, and they're like, uh-oh, I have to actually pay these loans back? Well, that's what happens when someone who is legally an adult takes out a loan. You do have to pay it back. Now, I think you could make the argument that allowing it to be discharged through bankruptcy might be a quick and easy way to solve the problem. Yes, they'd have to declare bankruptcy. Yes, it would hurt their credit, but it would put them on the same standard, would hold them to the same standard as any other form of debt. For example, let's say I took out a loan to expand this YouTube channel, not that any bank in its right mind would consider it economically viable. But if I failed and I still had that loan, I could declare bankruptcy and leave it at that. Okay, just to be clear, none of this is financial advice. This is just me spitballing what I would do if that. Of course, I wouldn't take out a loan in the first place because I understand that you need to have an actual realistic plan. Sure, there might not be a guarantee. Yeah, no bank would give me a loan for this channel in the first place. They'd probably either be too old to understand anything I'm saying, or they'd be too smart and they'd know that it's too unstable. This is why it's a thing I'm doing on the side for my instant gratification job. But I think on that note, I'm going to leave it here for the video. You comment down below whether you think getting your college degree was worth it or not. Whether you agree with me that the education needs to be integrated into job training and employment where people are making the money instead of being charged the money. Or if you think there, or if you have any other solutions to the whole crisis of student debt at loans, student loan debt, you just let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your feedback, even if you completely disagree with me and you think that all debts should be erased. I'd love to hear your reasoning behind it. So give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.